First, most of us have heard about the sad events in Amsterdam yesterday. Following a soccer game between Tel Aviv and Amsterdam, Israeli soccer fans came under attack by Palestinian mobs. The attack, they say, was well organized, and they were looking for Israelis in hotels and other places and ambushed them. Many were injured, and a few went to the hospital. The Dutch government spoke of this act as an unacceptable anti-Semitic attack. The Dutch king also added that the Netherlands failed Jews in the Holocaust, and he said, on this night, we failed them as well. European and US leaders also condemned this attack. Now, see the coincidence. It happened on the 86th anniversary of Crystal Night. German, meaning in German, the night of broken glass, which took place on November 9, actually, 1938. Like it's today, actually, the real birthday. It was when Nazis broke windows of Jewish-owned stores and synagogues, were smashed Jewish homes and hospitals, and schools were sacked. This night, 30,000 Jewish men were arrested and put into concentration camps soon after, actually, World War II began. What happened on Thursday evening, some call it the night of a new Crystal Night. We remember that anti-Semitism is like a canary in a coal mine, which miners brought with them because canaries gave them an early warning of danger as they could smell carbon monoxide and other toxic gases in underground mines and at a very early stage. As anti-Semitism rose just before World War II, today anti-Semitism is rising all over the world, and as we have mentioned throughout many weeks, this may be an early warning sign that is for us. And today, as we hear of wars and rumors of wars lately, North Korea has sent 8,000 troops to fight for Russia in Ukraine. The US is currently sending squadrons of A-15 fighters jets to Israel, fearing another Iranian attack. But on the other hand, we hear of peace and preparations of peace, which prophetically, actually speaking, all of this makes sense. But who is speaking of peace these days? We've seen this past Tuesday how the Americans elected Donald Trump as their new president. Thank God the transition was done peacefully. It is done peacefully. He will take office in January 2025. One of the first things he mentioned is that he's planning to revive the Abraham Accords, which he himself initiated 4 years ago, if you remember. The Abraham Accords is a peace treaty involving Israel along with the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, Oman, Morocco, Sudan, something that never happened since Israel came back as a nation or ever. This treaty brought Netanyahu to say that the Abraham Accords opened up an era of genuine peace, it is a dawn of a new era of peace. However, when talk to bring Saudi Arabia into the picture, the war with Hamas and Hezbollah involving Iran, Iraq, Yemen, and the West Bank actually began. This attempted peace treaty with Saudi Arabia may have triggered these current wars in Israel. Do you know what the connection is? The Temple Mount and the Third Temple. As we mentioned before, Saudi Arabia has their eyes on the Temple Mount and want to take away from the Palestinian and Jordan. The Saudis have custodian rights of the first two most holy places in Islam, Mecca and Medina. Now they want to have the third one, which is on the Temple Mount. This threat of Saudi Arabia over the takeover, that is, along with the declaration that Israel now had the religious legal red heifer, an animal needed for the functioning of the temple, and the religious Jews' strong desire to build the third temple may have triggered the whole world. But today, as we are coming to the end of these wars and Trump is back, the Abraham Accord is also back on the table. Prophetically, it may be very significant. The Abraham Accord may be the beginning of the deceptive false peace treaty which Bible prophecies speak of before the final wars. Ezekiel the prophet tells us that this treaty will be signed by a new and powerful world leader that will rise over the nations and whom John the apostle actually calls the Antichrist. This is what we read in Ezekiel 38:8, speaking to the coalition of Gog and Magog led by Russia and Iran. It says, in the latter years, you will come into the land that is restored from the sword, whose inhabitants have been gathered from many nations to the mountains of Israel, which have been a continual waste. They are living securely, all of them. We are then to expect that Israel will reach a certain time of peace that the prophet Daniel tells us will be guaranteed by the coming Antichrist for a period of 7 years. I'm not saying that the things we are seeing around us are the final elements leading to Gog and Magog, but it may be the beginning of this coming peace treaty that is so needed in Israel. For us, one thing really stands out. If there was a time in history when we ought to speak the word of God and proclaim salvation in Yeshua, it is actually right now. Great opportunities are opening up in front of us. Let us then speak the word and pray for the fields themselves are white for harvest.